Okay, welcome. So, in their first year of business, Spencer and his brother Tanner had a business plan that placed second in the National Saunders Scholarship Young Entrepreneurs Scholarship Competition. As part of the prize, they got to meet two of the sharks on Shark Tank and Tom Donahue. In their third year of business, they were invited to speak to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and they talked about how to promote entrepreneurship in teens. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce ended up giving their startup a grant. The Harrison brothers have been running their business for 5 years. It may have started as just a class project, but it is now their full-time job. They are proud to have sold over 40,000 Wolfram sticks over the years. And with that, I'd like to turn the time over to Spencer Harrison.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. That's a really nice introduction. Yeah, so my brother and I, this was at a photo shoot right before we went on Home Shopping Network. But yeah, so what I kind of want to go over in this presentation is some of the things that are on this screen. So first, I want to talk about how school and college is one of the best times you can have a startup. There's a lot of resources that can be free or really discounted if you're young. The next thing is the process for starting a business that I've kind of seen and read through books. What I wish I knew before I started my brother and I's business with the Wolfram Stick. And then books that you should read if you want to be an entrepreneur and be successful. And then some takeaways you should think about doing after this presentation, if just what I would recommend. So yeah, back to a little bit about our business. So this year alone, 2018, we've sold over 14,000 sticks already, and we've had about $95,000 of revenue. So we're really proud of that. It's kind of cool to be able to be 18, just out of high school, and almost have a business that can do six figures. It's probably not going to be a career for me, but it's really cool to know that you can take anything and you can make it more than a hobby. You can make money out of it. And so, yeah, just a little bit of success. But so how I got my start is I took a class. It was pretty detailed, but it wasn't that long. It was 12 weeks, and it was 3 hours each week. And these are kind of the things that they gave us too. Some of the biggest takeaways I had from my time with Young Entrepreneurs Academy is that you should really have a business plan, and you should connect with everyone you can. Networking is one of the best things you can do. A lot of the other things, it was pretty simple, and it just was a really good idea of how to do it. But no matter what you learn in a class, there's a lot of things you're going to have to learn outside of class. So you can get a really good basis, but there's going to be some things that you're going to have to figure out on your own. Like our first logo, it's kind of, I look back at it and it's kind of sad to see. But now we've been able to get a graphic designer, and so we have a lot more graphic art that we like a lot more. So it's kind of cool to see the progression of our business. But yeah, so just like you were saying, Jen, some of the highlights that I've had, presenting to the National Chamber of Commerce was probably one of my favorite things. It was all of these huge head honchos of CEOs of businesses. Yeah, a few of them emailed us after and sent us business cards, so we kind of kept in touch, which is really cool. Then the Saunders Scholarship. Yeah, this summer in July, my brother and I had the opportunity to go on Home Shopping Network, and so we did an 8-minute on-air segment selling the Wolfram Stick. And so, yeah, it was just really cool. Something to do with my brother this summer. We've also this summer gotten to all the BSA locations. The hardest thing about that is it's more business sometimes is a lot more about who you know than what you know. So if you can find the right person, you can be really successful. And so when you're young, it's a lot easier to be able to get those connections because people want to help you. I'll go over that in a little bit, but so use your age as an advantage for getting those connections. I've also gotten a lot of other scholarships through BYU, the University of Utah, and some other ones. So if you have a business and you can show it's more than just a hobby, you weren't just working at a fast food restaurant, as good as that is, if you can show success, I know that you can get a scholarship. It really helps me a lot when I was applying for scholarships. But yeah, something that's coming up this Friday actually is I was nominated for the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. So there's 3 runners up. Those were decided about a month ago through the National Chamber of Commerce. And so all of us you have to be under 20 to be nominated. And this Friday, I'm going to figure out if I'm the Young Entrepreneur of the Year in the United States, according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So that's something I'm really excited for coming up this Friday. So that was another highlight. And then probably my favorite thing about business is I get to spend a ton of time with my brother. And so it's an advantage. So the importance of picking good business partners and people that you can work with is something that I can't stress enough. But yeah, so we have a patent. Well, I guess we have 2 patents now. This is a little out of date. And we have 2 trademarks too for our product. But yeah, so I kind of wanted to go over those main points I talked about earlier. So the first is college is a great way to get resources, and like high school. So I know that in my first 4 weeks, I already talked to people about different things. So like the University of Utah and BYU both are amazing entrepreneurship schools, and they both have entrepreneurship competitions where you present ideas and you can get funding to make your first prototypes and other things. And so there's just so many little things like that that it's hard to figure out on your own that you have access to probably in high school and college, that I really think is like it's a really great resource. So before you're old, you can get a lot of this stuff for free. So yeah, funding. There's a whole, at least at BYU, there's a legal staff, and you can bring any legal questions you have about like trademarks, patents, whatever else you have, and they can give you an hour worth of legal counsel for free. It's part of their curriculum, and it's great for you too. The engineering building at BYU, you can prototype different things. My roommate and I were thinking about making a box with like secret compartments and stuff. And so we're thinking about making some of our first prototypes in the engineering building with the wood shop coming up in about a week or 2. And so it's cool that like my house, I didn't have tools to be able to work on things like this. I would have to rely on engineers, pay them $100 an hour to do all this stuff. But you can get access to it. You just have to do a little bit of training. But if you're outgoing, you can do a lot of this stuff. You can get mentors. And I know that Jen and Matt, they are both entrepreneurs or business-minded. So you can get ideas off that. And everyone knows people that are entrepreneurs. So you can always work with those people. And Utah is one of like the most family-friendly markets. So you can really, if you have a product, it's a really great place to sell in Utah. A lot of like the billboard companies, they use Utah as a pilot market to see if family-oriented ads work. So anything that's family-oriented in Utah sells well. And so we've kind of benefited from that at the Wolf and Stick. So that's just another benefit of living in Utah. But yeah, so starting a business. So what I would say about starting a business, you always want to be on the lookout for when people say like, I hate something, or isn't it a pain when this happens? I have an entrepreneurship class right now at college. And so yesterday we were talking about the Illuminable, if you guys have ever heard about them. But so they started at BYU. So this guy, he woke up in the middle of the night and he was like wanted to go to the bathroom. And so when he walked into like the bathroom, he turned on the lights and it like blinded him. He's like, what a pain. Like I was like just sleeping, like it was just dark. And so I turned on the light and now my eyes hurt. And so he thought, pain, right? So he wanted to think of a solution. So his solution was basically a nightlight in a toilet. And it might seem really odd, but he's been able to sell millions of dollars worth of units. So like just look for pain, and if you can sell someone a relief to that pain, that's what's going to sell. You always want to be looking out for pain points. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later, but so there's a book called Nail It Then Scale It, and it talks about ways to start businesses effectively. There's a statistic that's like 90% of all new businesses fail. And so Nail It Then Scale It kind of says that the reason so many businesses fail is because a lot of people don't go through proof of concept enough. They don't get their idea ready and they don't bounce it off enough people, which is the way to do it. So Nail It Then Scale It says that you can kind of flip that on its head. If you use their principles, they think that about 7 out of every 10 businesses can succeed before you put a significant, like after you put a significant investment of money, then it'll be successful. You don't have to just have a bunch of money and hope that it works out. If you do the work before you start prototyping and other things, you can have a lot more stable business. The next thing I would say is, this is along with Nail It Then Scale It, see if your solution has a market. So this guy from Illuminable, he had his idea, I want to make basically a toilet nightlight. But so how he was going to do it originally was when you step on the toilet mat next to the toilet, or the mat, then it would light up around the bathroom. And someone was like, why don't you just do a motion sensor and put it in the toilet? Like put the motion sensor outside the toilet and put the light inside the toilet. And so because he asked his brother-in-law was who this was, he had a way better concept. He probably could have been successful in doing what he was going to do, but because he was talking to people, he's talking to his target market, he was able to make a better product without having to spend extra money and go through that prototyping phase multiple times. So after you've come up with a solution to pain and you know you have a market, then you can start building a prototype. Another thing that goes with making sure you have a market, like talk to friends, see if they would buy it, talk to businesses. It's never too early to ask someone if they would get it. And once you know that you have a product that you can sell, then you can start prototyping and making it. And so that's really something that my entrepreneurship professors stressed a lot, is if you go through the steps that Skelet has of coming with a solution and checking your market in depth before you build a prototype, you won't have to waste a significant amount of money starting your business, because you don't have a lot of startup costs in those first two steps. But you can have a successful business and weed out kind of the bad ideas if you do those steps. So some things I wish I knew when I started out is kind of like I was saying, do more research before using money. Our product has had probably 4 significant design changes. And so part of that was we didn't have a lot of money to make the molds for our current product has a marshmallow roaster and the Wolfram attachment. And so we didn't have enough money to make the molds with both of those features at the beginning, but we knew everyone always wanted it. So I wish we could have done more research at the beginning and known that's what we should have done all along. And we probably would have saved money and be better off in the long run. It was like, what we did was okay in the short run, but I really wish we would have done it different. Another thing is, as an entrepreneur, you always have to be willing to take more risks. They're not just like dumb risks, you're going to things blindly, but like take educated, smart risks. You can kind of like a risk, like in high school, like a lot of you are right now, is you can get a job, you can get paid $8 to $10 an hour, or you can take a risk. You can start a business, like it sounds like many of you have been trying to do or doing, and you can, the benefits can far outweigh what you would have had if you just taken that job, but it is risky. You might not make money for the first couple months, or you might spend a lot of time and realize you didn't get anything. But a lot of the time, if you take smart risks, then you'll be better off. The other thing I wish I would have done is talk to every entrepreneur and kind of interview them every time you talk to one. Figure out what they would have done better. Figure out kind of some pitfalls they fell into and how they got out of them. So if you ever experience the same things, you have a base to get past some things. The next thing is keep an entrepreneur journal. I've been doing this for only about a month right now. But so every idea, find 2 ideas for a business. There's been some studies shown that if you do this, you write 2 ideas for like creative solutions to problems, it'll start training your mind to think about new solutions to problems. And in that way, you can start thinking about really good ideas for how to solve problems. So you can literally train your mind to be a better entrepreneur. Something else I wish I would have known is being young is the best if you're starting a business. I was kind of scared. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't want their time to be wasted by someone that's young, and maybe they don't want to talk to me, but I've been helped a ton because I'm young. Like people just give connections. They always are willing to help. There's been so many times at fairs and it's like, oh yeah, like I'm just trying to pay for college, and they'll buy a Wolfram stick. They might not have bought before, but because it's like, oh, it's like a little kid, like they'll do so much more for you than if you're older. So take advantage of that. Learn how to start a business now, and it'll be a lot easier for success now, and you can learn how to not do a business when you're young. So then you don't have to take those risks when you're older. The next thing is being a saver. If you have cash or just any kind of money, you can make money a lot easier. It's a lot easier to reinvest something that's your own money than there's a lot of opportunities that come along that need money. And if you have that money, you can take those opportunities, but if you don't, then you're kind of out of luck. So I would say save all the money you can, and it's going to come in handy while you can. The last thing is read books. I love Harry Potter, but thinking back, I probably didn't get a lot out of them. There's not a lot of like moral teachings. I don't know. There's not a lot of like entrepreneur, like business or like thing that's going to make me grow as a person. It's just a lot of fluff. So some books that I read recently, we'll talk about it more, but there's some good ones. I'll actually bring those up in a second. Yeah, they're right here. So books that you should read. Like I said, Nail It and Scale It. I'm only about halfway through right now. I'm reading it from my class in college, but so far it seems like it's a really good book. The idea is it's an efficient way to get through as many ideas as you can as efficiently as possible, and then make sure that you only have to you weed out the bad ones as fast as you can, and then you know how to figure out what's a good business, and then you can scale it up. The next one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Just there's a lot of life lessons in this one, and how to be more of an extrovert and just learn how to like interact with people. And the third one is Shoe Dog, which is it's the story of Phil Knight and his starting of Nike. So if you have a business right now, if you read Shoe Dog, it literally will be your life. He talks about how his manufacturer in Japan all of a sudden started so his manufacturer started looking for other people to sell their shoes in the United States, which was against their contract. And so Phil Knight started getting a manufacturer somewhere else, and then he got all these shoes from this other manufacturer, and they were all defective. And so then he had to go to the bank, and he had to get more funding, and just all this back and forth. And so it's just such a realistic story that it'll help you get through all your problems if you are starting a business right now. The scale's probably a lot bigger, but a lot of the ups and downs that he experiences, I can really relate to. There's a lot of really bad days, but there's a lot of really good days. So that's what I would say. But yeah, so this is just another one of our graphics. Bacon, Phil, and Wolfram is not just a slogan, it's an experience. But yeah, it's been really fun. I would say starting a business when you're young is one of the best things you can do. And especially with all of you having to take tech classes, there's so many things you can do with tech that people need but aren't doing yet. So one of my friends, he worked at a call center this past summer, and there's this 2-minute step of each call that each operator would have to do, and he programmed a way to optimize it. And so he sold his software to this telemarketing firm, and he said that for each call that you make, if you use my software, pay me 25 cents. And so this summer he's already raked in a lot of money, and just because he saw an opportunity, he saw a pain point, he figured out a solution, and he's helping everyone. That's the best thing about entrepreneurship. This guy with his program, he's helping the company be more efficient. He's helping the callers. They can get through more calls. They can make more money too, and he is making some money. So it's really just making the market more efficient. And I think that's one of the coolest things about entrepreneurship. One of the best ways to help people is to have just a new idea and have it applied universally throughout the market. And if it's a better idea, it's going to stick. And that way we can help everyone. So yeah, that's kind of my pitch. Do you want to open it up to questions, Jen? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you very much. It was fun to hear more about your product and your experiences.
What gave you the inspiration for Wolfram? Like you said, that you are getting an idea for a product, you're supposed to find a problem and then try and fix it. Did you find a problem and then fix it with Wolfram? How did you get the idea for that?
Yeah, so the problem we kind of saw, there was two. The first one is whenever you probably know, you cook a marshmallow and it's really sticky. And I hate it whenever you're camping and you get your fingers are all sticky, but there's nowhere you can wash your hands really. So that was the first problem. The second one is there's not a lot of campfire treats besides marshmallows and s'mores. A lot of them, there's not a lot of quick and easy treats. And so my brother and I wanted to add some variety to campfire cooking. And so we learned about cooking biscuit dough over the fire from our cousins. And so we already knew about a solution to the problem, but a lot of people didn't. And so we decided that we were going to sell that solution to people as the Wolfram Stick. So our product, I didn't really explain it, but it basically makes mini pies over the fire. I'll pull it away, maybe.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, so the problem we're trying to solve is helping families and friends have fun over the fire in ways other than s'mores.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Great question. How many employees do you have? Brian would like to know.
Yeah, so employees. The first 10,000 units that we sold, we actually made in our backyard shed. So we would hire just our buddies from school and we would make them, our product. So we used to have about 10 people on the payroll, just part-time making them. But recently we've had it's me and my brother, and my mom helps a little bit. And sometimes we have a marketing person help us with our social media. So probably 4 part-time people is what I would say.
Great, thank you. Jenny is asking, how did you market your product, especially at the beginning, to get it to take off?
Okay, yeah. So at the beginning, we did a lot of direct-to-consumer sales. So all of you live in Utah. So there's county fairs in Utah and there's city fairs. So that's what we did primarily our first 2 years. We just would have units, and we would just tell people, yeah, just sample our product, and then if you like it, maybe you should get a couple for your family. So just a lot of face-to-face direct-to-consumer marketing. But kind of after that, there was some word of mouth that kind of helped our website get off, and then we started doing paid Facebook advertising. It's not that hard to do. It's hard to optimize. So if you have $5 you can spend each day on Facebook, and you have an idea that you love, you can start getting into Facebook marketing and see if you can be successful with it. So yeah.
Okay, how long does it take to make a Wolfram stick?
So we estimated at the beginning it would take about 10 minutes for each one to make. But right now we actually have a manufacturer in China, so we don't make them anymore, which I'm thankful for. But a lot of the time we have to repackage them, which is a pain. So we open up every box and put on a price sticker on each one. So that probably takes a good minute and a half for each one still. But
that adds up.
Yeah.
Have you had any ads on TV?
So ads on TV. We haven't done a lot of traditional marketing. It's kind of expensive, so we've focused on the new media, Facebook, Facebook and Instagram a lot, Google AdWords. But so we have not had ad on TV yet. Home Shopping Network is basically paid advertise. It's just a TV show that you sell stuff. So that's kind of a TV ad maybe. But so maybe
on TV.
Yeah.
Okay. How important is a good name? Eleanor would like to know.
Oof, a good name.
And I guess the next question goes with that. Why is it called the Wolfram stick?
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna answer the second one first. So a Wolfram stick. So it makes a treat so tasty you have to wolf them down. I'm gonna try to, let's see if I can get this. So this is our website. Can you see it, Jen?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So this is the treats they make. They're called Wolframs. So it's biscuit dough that goes on the end of a stick. So you put biscuit dough on the end of a stick. You cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then you have one of these mini pies that you can eat, right? Our product also has this rotary handle. That's another pain point that we're trying to solve, is making it easier to cook over the fire. So then you can cook your marshmallows and hot dogs. There's a picture that shows kind of all 3 of the attachments together. But yeah, so the Wolfram stick, because it's so tasty, you have to wolf them down. And a good name is probably, I wouldn't focus on the name. I would come up with a product idea first, and then you can work through the name. Nike for the first 10 years was called Blue Ribbon. Kind of an interesting name. And then Phil Knight really wanted to call Nike Quantum 6 or something like that. And so there's a lot of names that I'm sure that if you would have named Nike Quantum 6, it would have been an amazing business still. It might not have been the same ring that Nike has, but I can see an alternate reality where the name doesn't matter a lot, right? It's weird to think Nike without Nike, but the name probably doesn't. As long as you can come up with a lot of good names.
All right, if you are selling something that a lot of people are doing, how do you make your product unique?
Okay, every product can have a differentiator, if I'm saying that right. I know a lot of the people that I kind of talk to, my mentors, they buy their things from China, just like everyone else, but then they change one aspect of the product, and that's how they can differentiate their product from other competition. they change the color, some aesthetic, some just one thing about it, and because it sets them apart, they're in a whole new category as everyone else. And so then that way they can kind of compete better with everyone else. So if you are selling something that everyone else is selling, you just have to have something that sets yours apart. And that way you can kind of advertise to that, especially on like Amazon, things like that.
Good answer.
So yeah.
Good answer. When did you start manufacturing in China, and what was that process like?
So our first order from China came in 2014, and like the very end of 2014. And so we worked through a broker. So basically what happens is there's people whose business is they talk to entrepreneurs and they say, yeah, this is a really good idea. We can go to China and we can get a quote for you. And if you want to, like, if you think that quote's good enough, you can buy it from, like, we'll do it for you. So it's more expensive than setting up your own supply chain. But in the beginning, it's probably the best thing you can do, especially if it's like your first time. So this summer, we're actually planning to take over our supply chain. So we won't work with those people that go to China for us. But working with someone in the beginning is what I would recommend.
You touched on this before, but how many prototypes did you make at the beginning?
Okay, so the first prototype we made was, it was a proof of concept for the rotary handle to make sure that like it was a good idea. And so we made one of those, and it was literally made out of a laundry detergent bucket handle. And so that was kind of fun. So you can find, if it's not like our product's not that complicated. So like you can find ways to prototype, like just a really simple way, or like just have a really good drawing. But after that, we made about 100. Well, we made the first 100 by ourselves. Like I would call them prototypes, and then we tried selling them door to door as kind of like a further proof of concept. So I would say that we probably made about 100 prototypes before, but like they weren't that expensive. Like if you have a product that's gonna be more expensive for each prototype, you probably don't have to make 100. But I would say probably make at least like a dozen. But yeah.
How do you know a good price? I assume, Eleanor, you mean a good price for your product.
Like kind of a good general rule is you need to be able to sell your product for 3 times what you can manufacture it for. At least that's kind of a rule that we've tried to stick with. So if you can, the lowest you can make something for is $3, you need to be able to sell it for at least $9. Anything else that you can sell it above that is just gravy. But so you need to be able to sell it for 3 times more. So I would say you need to be able to figure out what your COGS are before you can set your wholesale, before you can set your retail. Because if you don't make enough money on it, it's really not worth your time. If you're making 20 cents on each unit and you're like, the volume's not there, it's probably not worth it. So I would say if you can figure out your COGS, your cost of goods sold, then you can figure out what the rest of your price points are going to be. And the best way to figure out a good cost of goods is just going to you can work with multiple brokers. Like nothing's official until you pay them money. So just get as many quotes as you can. And if you want low price but high quality, so it's kind of hard, like a compromise too. But so just lots of quotes will probably help you not getting ripped off.
Do you have an office building yet?
An office building? No. We just do it out of our house. It's kind of nice though, because you don't have to work each day. You can just wake up and you can start working as soon as you get up. I don't know. So yeah, not an office building yet, but maybe one day.
All right.
Good question.
But that'd be pretty cool though to have a place. And yeah, so Brian, we do have a patent. We actually have 2. We have one on the rotary handle and then one on the application of having a hot dog and a Wolfram attachment on it. But yeah, so the way to get a patent, if like that's a follow-up question, is just talk to a patent attorney. And yeah, so a patent attorney can help you look through the process to see if there's anyone else that your patent would infringe on. And if you have a new idea, then you can file for a patent. And because you probably don't have enough income, you can file as like a micro business. So it's only about $1,000 for your first patent if you don't have a lot of income yet. So yeah, so right now we're trying to grow our e-commerce sales, Amazon, our website, other e-commerce sellers. We are in about 300 to 500 stores, depending on like who you actually count. If you count like chains. So we're just trying to grow our e-commerce because that's where we get the best margins on. And so because of college, I'm going on a mission in about a year. So we're going to get to the point where we can hopefully kind of just hold the business and be making a couple $10,000 each year in profit. So it's like we're probably going to start slowing down our growth. It's kind of a plan right now. Right now, to get into stores, just go to your local stores. Like even Walmart, they can have a local section. So you just have to, like, you just go in and you talk to like a buying manager. Literally, so many of the stores, you just like, you go and you tell them you're not going to leave until you can like set up a meeting with the buying manager. Like that's how we got into Sportsman's Warehouse, IFA. And then, so after you get into the buying manager, you just give them like a really good pitch. And then you tell them like, yeah, like putting these in like 3 or 4 stores, if they sell, like maybe we can talk again, get into some more. And so then if you get them to those stores, it's a lot easier to get them to the rest of their stores because like you're already in their you're already into like their system. And so just like talk to people and like just don't be afraid. Like worst case they say no, and that's what they're gonna say. Like that's what's gonna happen if you never talk to them. So just like go for it and just ask people, especially while you're young. They're like, oh yeah, you're just a little kid. Like I'll help you out. So yeah, just like find local stores. You can start growing. After you have those local stores, you can go to national stores. Like it's probably gonna take like a year or 2 at least, but you can show them the data on how your product sells, and you can like convince them that it's a good product for them in bigger stores. So yeah, start local, dominate your like area, like your city, like get into everything you can. Would be like my advice.
That's great. Let's see.
What do you use to package your Wolfram sticks?
To package them, I can show you a quick picture. Yes, this is what our packaging looks like, if you can see it. So this is an add-on product that we have now. It's the bag, but so our product it just has a piece of cardboard. But it's not cardboard. It's like just packaging, and it's wire tied on, and then you can open it up, and there's some information. But so that's what our packaging looks like.
Okay, last question. Do you feel like it's better to just have one product and be known for that?
So, well, that's a hard question because that's kind of what we're going through now. Like we have this product and we're selling like a decent amount, but we don't have like anything else in our catalog to like upsell to people. So I would say like you want everything to fit under your brand. So our like kind of our mission statement is to help families and friends have fun in the outdoors. So we're adding new products in the coming months to help with that mission, right? So everything kind of goes together. So it's all kind of that idea. So we're going to be known as like the Wolfram Sticks still, but they're all related. And so if you do that, if you have like a good strategy, you can have a wider range, but you can have like the benefits of having a wider range. But I would say make sure that they all fit under a brand together.
That's good advice. Thank you for joining us today. And if everyone could just say thank you and
Yep.
goodbye.
Answer, nice job.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for everybody.